Appreciate you guys joining in. Interview with Ryan Dawson. Japan makes a deal with Iran. What is that deal? What are the ramifications of the deal? What are the results of the deal? We're going to be speaking about that as soon as Ryan Dawson comes on. We've started the YouTube video. We're waiting for him to come on. But in the meantime, we will give you some news and give you some information pertaining to what's happened today. So, as you know, there's been a significant development. The first thing is that Trump, through Axios, has stated that what are they going to do? They plan to restart the war. Trump claims to Axios being one of the main writers is Barack Ravid. Barack Ravid has a direct line to Donald Trump. And the way he was also an Israeli IDF soldier. And so from that, one can ascertain that he very much does put their position before anybody else's. And what Trump stated through him in I believe, a coordinated leak is that they believe that the negotiations have hit a snag. And they believe that the way of resolving this is to start a short bombing campaign targeting Iran's infrastructure. So that's basically what is happening. And what that means is, or suggests, that the war probably is going to resume. It's probably going to resume in the next day or two. The second thing, the point of item that I want to speak about, and we're just waiting for Ryan to join us, is the Japan. I'm just checking if Ryan's coming. And it is the Idemtsu, I believe, Maru tanker that has traversed the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the question is, this is a Japanese tanker. It had 2 million barrels in there. So if you remember, there was this major photo op by the Trump administration saying, you know what, there's a Japanese tanker that's coming from the United States of America and going back, and it's got huge amount of oil. We found out later that it had about 800 to 900,000 barrels. And so basically 2 or 3 times less than the specific tanker that traversed the Strait of Hormuz. I believe that tanker had been sitting there for a few months. Now, the question is, why did Iran let that tanker out? Japan is a key ally of the United States of America. And this is what we're going to speak to Ryan about. I've looked into it, and Iran claims, or some sources within Iran claim, that that Japan paid a toll. Japan is saying that they didn't pay a toll, but the agreement was something else, which is not being deemed or is not being relayed to the public. So we're going to break it down. As you know, Ryan does have certain connections with the Japanese administration, and separate to that, Ryan knows his stuff. So we're going to be getting him on, and he's here. So let's get him on. Let me put the mic volume up in there. Okay. Hi, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, we're live, so let's go into it. I want to welcome Ryan Dawson onto the stage. Ryan Dawson is a geopolitical expert. He's been covering the Middle East, and if not the whole world, in terms of from a political perspective, for decades upon decades upon decades. Obviously, he's also an expert on what happened in 9/11, what happened in terms of Epstein, what happened in JFK, RFK, all of those things. And we've got him on here to talk about another thing, which is, we're going to talk about quite a few things on here, but one of the things we're going to talk about is Japan, a country that's close to his heart. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm good. I was just over there, and yeah, they're cooking up some things. I guess you saw their vessels pass safely through the Persian Strait, or Strait of Hormuz. I like calling it the Persian Strait just because of Gulf of America and all that nonsense. But the way Takaichi arranged that was pretty smooth, because what does Iran want? Well, this is really a policy going back to Abe. Shinzo Abe did this in Syria and in Gaza, but they had a phone conversation, Takaichi and Sisi out of Egypt, where they have agreed on reconstruction in Gaza, as well as diplomatic solutions to the U.S.-Iran war. And by promising aid and even personnel to go to Gaza, that's a big step. then suddenly the Japanese ships are allowed out of the Strait of Hormuz. How about that? It shows that Iran still cares about the Gaza issue. It is primary to them. And then there was some discussion about some bonds and other things, and I don't think I could say the result of that, but that is it's not a secret that what the weapon is and what they could plan on doing with that.
You think that's possible that they could sell the bonds, or they're too scared of America?
I think they won't even have to get there because China's going to end up doing it first because of the stupid blockade on the blockade. And, the U.S. has lost its mind. All these people that want to preserve the petrodollar, like you had an automatic win there. All you had to do is not go to war and sanction all these countries on behalf of Israel. And they were all happy to use the dollar and the SWIFT system and everything else. They've really gone against that, gone against their own interests by both this war on Russia as well as Iran and sanctions on both. And, the reason people run away from the dollar is because they're afraid their assets could be frozen, which is the case with Iran. And they're going to have to unfreeze these. I mean, the best deal that Trump's going to ever get offered, especially on the uranium, which they've now split this all up instead of trying to solve it all at once. They're like, we're going to talk about the uranium later. But the best that he can get is like the JCPOA, which is what he tore up back in 2018. He's not even going to get that much. You're going to get like a watered down version of that. That's going to be the best he can get because there is a toll booth going up in tandem with Oman. That's just going to happen. And then you saw Iran meeting with Russia, and not just Lavrov. They met with Putin himself.
Yeah.
And they're discussing, Trump has just been outplayed. He got dragged into this war by the Israelis. He had no plan B, and now he's alienated his allies. When Japan and China are working together, you got problems. And now, Russia and Iran closer than ever. And the Gulf countries, you're seeing like a divide in the Emirates, or East Israel, as we like to say. The two Emirates, the two, let's say, well, I don't know. The two problem children of Israel over there is Abu Dhabi, which has the oil, and then Dubai, which is just like a giant money laundering city. They've really painted themselves into a corner, and you can see all my crocodile tears. The left OPEC, they are desperate, and I don't see a way out for them. Boo-hoo.
Exactly.
And then you've got the carriers have moved in place, but I think they'll drag this out, trying to choke Iran economically as they've done before, and see. And when that fails, we'll see how desperate they get and if they'll re-trigger the air war. But there seems to be an internal conflict. Now, one thing we can do is rule out the ground war completely because they don't even have a commander. So there's an Air Force and a Navy command. There's no Army command even in the area. So there obviously aren't any plans to go and take islands or any of that nonsense. However, the blockade of the blockade is something the U.S. is trying to implement. It's pretty porous. Ships are getting through. Now and then they will stop one. It's more of a performance, like face-saving measure than it is effective. Because Iran can just run that. It's not a true blockade. And they're not going to just start sinking boats. So this whole thing's stupid, but it's just Trump wants to act like he did something, and then that's the cause of why they're having talks later. It's like,
but now he's saying things aren't working well.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, everything you're trying to do, you already had before the war. The strait was already open before the war. And you had sanctions, you had control. Iran had a lot of internal turmoil. The currency had collapsed, they were falling apart. Killing the Ayatollah was the dumbest thing in the world because he unified the country. They've completely bounced back. Now they're able to tax oil and gas, or anything actually, going out of the Strait of Persia. And they've really up their street cred and world status. Look, they can take it on the chin, and they can deliver. They took out those U.S. bases. I mean, the bases in Iraq are basically gone. That's been since 2003. Now, the PMU did that as well. But, you know, it certainly helped to have backing of Iranian Kramsha 4 and ballistic missiles. And then you're seeing Hezbollah continuing with these FPV drones to hit tanks and personnel. There was a very close call with the Israelis. I don't know why. They're all bunched up. They look like 20 of them. And they were evacuating a wounded soldier in a helicopter. And a drone fell like 4 or 5 meters away. It almost took out a whole platoon. Just, it would have been awesome. But they didn't get them on that one. They did hit 6 that were gathered around a tank. So they have no, they're so arrogant. They went in and they thought, oh, we can jam these, but they can't. They learned nothing from Ukraine, Russia. And up in the war in the north, Russia ordered an ultimatum. They're like, look, you got till Friday. This is the first time they've ever like made a deadline, do it or else type of thing. Bunch of mixed messages there, because at the same time you're seeing that there could be a ceasefire in Ukraine. I wouldn't hold my breath on that, but at least it's being talked about, which before it was not even in discussion. So baby steps in that war. Ukraine loses that war. They don't have a way. All they can do is prolong it, and it's just nonsense. It's just a pointless loss of life and money for the inevitable. You're going to lose the Donbass. They don't even want to be part of Ukraine anyway. So that's that there, but we'll see. Trump, yeah. Everything he's accused Iran of doing, he's guilty of himself. He's like, we don't even know who to talk to. They're in such disarray. It's like, you don't even know who your own vice president is. Wait, he said Vance was on the plane. Remember, he said Vance, Witkoff, and Kushner are on the plane. They were not. At a meeting that wasn't happening because they said, as long as you have a blockade, we're not interested in talking to you.
I think they were on the plane, though, waiting.
Or maybe sitting still.
Yeah, they were. They were sitting still. Maybe. It shows the power of the Iranians. But I thought you were going to say we don't know who the president is because when there was the alleged attempted assassination, J.D. Vance got taken out first.
Well, he was closer to the gunman, so maybe that's
why.
No,
there was 2 exits. There was one exit on one side, there was an exit on the other side.
Yeah, but it was exit to the left and right, and the gunman's here. So it was like...
The gunman wasn't even inside.
Well, I know, where the sounds were. Yeah. That thing was so low energy, so low effort. Like, we deserve better psyops. Where you're right, they hustled Vance out first. Like, well, he's the one with a functioning brain. Move.
He's the Palantir president. But
well, yeah, I don't like him, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. But just coming back to Japan, because I just want to round that bit of conversation up. The obviously right now they've got 2 million barrels from Iran. I believe they got about 800,000 to 900,000 barrels from the United States of America. That's still not enough. How bad is the situation in Japan?
They're getting oil from Russia as well.
Okay.
From the Sakhalin line. And that was a deal that took a long time to get that deal too. There was a lot of, Japan is pissed at Russia because Russia annexes some northern islands, and they are like this. They just stole them after World War II. Putin offered 2 of the 4 major ones back, and Japan's like, no, all or nothing. So they said, okay, nothing. So they're not getting those islands back, but. They don't like the Russians, and I get it. And Russia aids North Korea, and there's a bunch of other problems. It's not the Ukraine stuff. It's their own Asian policies. But Russia wants to sell oil, and Japan wants to buy it, so they do have that. But that isn't a large amount, but it does, every bit counts. So they're getting that, and they got getting coal from Canada, and they have their own as well. But yeah, they're going to have to make up for this loss from the Gulf. Like what they're getting from Iran isn't as much. They used to buy from Iran anyway, from about 2007 to 2018. They bought oil directly from Iran, no problem. So does Korea. But yeah, now they're back at it. Paying for it in yen, as they always have, by the way. It was like, oh my God, they got off the dollar. Like they were already not on the dollar.
Yeah.
People need to learn that, man. There is no rule or law saying you have to buy oil in dollars. Countries choose to do that because it's easy to use dollars. Like it's whatever. Anyway, they're buying it in yen. But yeah, they're seeking now. Takaichi is off to Vietnam and then Australia doing her tour, shoring up alliances. She knows what she's doing. I'm very proud that they were willing to work with the Egyptians for reconstruction in Gaza. Like they were the only like quote unquote major country that's concerned with rebuilding in Gaza. And I'm like, finally, somebody can get it done. And they did that in Syria too, $100 million worth of reconstruction for Assad. I'm glad they didn't do what happened before one time is they gave money to Palestine, but it all went to the West Bank, and Abbas, the house Arab, didn't use any of it on Gaza.
So that's great. I mean, that's first of all great from the Iranians and great from the Japanese as well. Guys, if you're on
As states should work, right? That's how it ought to be.
yeah.
Negotiate this stuff out. You get the oil, help these people. They're concerned with they're sending food and real aid. The problem's going to be the Israelis won't let it in. I mean, that's going to be the issue.
Oh yeah, for sure. And so, guys, if you're on the X space, the tweet is in the nest. I want everyone to come across there. We're going to be ending the X space in about a couple of minutes. So be ready. I'm going to be ending the X space in the next bit of gap. I'm going to be ending it. So come to the tweet in the nest, and we're all there. So Ryan, the other question I've got for you is, today Trump said, essentially through Axios, and as you know, Axios is Barak Ravid. Barak Ravid is basically an Israeli intelligence officer. That being said, he has a direct line to Trump. And so Trump obviously leaks information to him if he wants to use it. Whether he wants to do it or not is a separate point. But what he said was that he's planning a short bombing campaign because negotiations have basically stagnated. What's your thoughts on that?
He might be, but Trump also, if you read his Art of the Deal, he likes to have some leverage. So it's just drilled in his head. Like, you can't go have a good faith negotiation without some looming threat to like force him to do it your way, because he's a gangster. Like, that's how they operate in New York. Really stupid. If you're gonna bomb them, this idea of a limited bombing is the dumbest thing. Either do it or don't. Because if you halfway do it, the response is not going to be halfway. So it could be this game of proportionate nonsense. They're going to quadruple their targets. They've got their target list. They've been practicing with their air defense. Iran is ready for this. So, like, yeah, go ahead and do it. It's like flicking somebody in the head like, and then getting hit. But the Israelis, like, this is what they want. They want the hot war. They want America to do it for them because they can't do it. But Iran is ready for this. And look, the Gulf countries will get wiped out again. And they've said that. If you're going to start attacking, as Trump has alluded to like 3 or 4 times at least, energy infrastructure and bridges and things, because they don't know where the ballistic missiles are, then two can play at that game. And so there's a lot of pressure internally in the Pentagon as well as from the Gulf states to begging him, do not do this again. Don't hit Iran with any kind of limited strikes because they're going to hit us. I don't think Trump and the Israelis really care what happens to the Gulf states or their own personnel. They don't seem to give a damn.
So where are the Gulf states?
It's more of a negotiation tactic, though. Trump likes to have the bombers circling overhead as he's trying to make a boardroom deal.
So where are the Gulf states on this? Because on the one hand, you're right. They don't want the United States and Israel to bomb Iran because Iran will destroy their infrastructure. That being said, the Strait being closed is harming them probably significantly high. Well, almost as much as everybody else. And I understand Saudi is the least affected out of them, but they're still affected, and other Gulf states are exponentially affected. So where are they? Because the blockade harms them, bombing harms them, they're stuck.
They are stuck, but bombing won't reopen the strait either. That will just guarantee it's shut down indefinitely. So you can't bomb your way out of this. He's going to have to just accept the deal in terms that Iran has offered, which, their 10-point plan. Talk about the uranium later. But that's what they're offering. They say, we will reopen the strait. You're going to have to lift the blockade, get out of the Gulf, move your military presence, back to the Atlantic or somewhere, away from Iran. Lift your sanctions, unfreeze assets, and knock it off in Lebanon. That is, and it's like, that's it. There is no negotiating. This is what you have to do. These are our terms. Accept them, or the strait stays closed. If you bomb us, we'll bomb you. I mean, it's that simple. Now, most of the Gulf states do not want bombing, with the exception of East Israel. All of them are pretty much in line with let's talk this out. But because Bahrain and Kuwait have basically collapsed, and yeah, Saudi Arabia, they still have access to the Red Sea, and they're a much larger country, and they're okay. And probably Jordan right behind that. But look, they're all vulnerable, and even the Red Sea on both ends, that can be plugged too. But I don't think they'll do that, since it's about 80% of China's oil comes out of the Red Sea right now. They're probably not going to close that. But the Houthi are independent; they can do what they want to do. They're not going to do anything that dramatic, though, unless they're bombed. And this is the stupidest idea ever, of him threatening to start bombing again. Like, how well did that go last time? Let's see. You lost your radar. You lost your air defense. You got your bases got obliterated, not theirs. And then you started losing aircraft, both on the ground and in the air. Even in Saudi Arabia, they hit that Prince Sultan Air Base, took out refueled tankers, took out some C-130s. You lost F-15Es. That's your flagship. You lost one F-35, an A-10 Warthog. So why would you want to do this again? But he thinks that this Machiavellian might makes right. Like, well, we have to scare them into doing negotiations. What negotiations? They gave you their terms. You have to follow them. There's no reason for them to back down or backpedal on any of these. First, you're going to have to unfreeze the assets. You can do that immediately. Lifting sanctions is more of a mess, because that could take several months to unravel and actually truly lift the sanctions. But you could end the blockade in an hour, and you could unfreeze assets also within an hour. You could do those two steps right away. You could talk about the uranium later, but I promise you're not going to get a better deal than what you already had and tore up. But yeah, that's Trump. And it's not just him. It's his merry band of Zionists, his Sheldon Adelson, Paul Singer pick cabinet, these Christian dispensationalist weirdos, these end timers. They don't get it. They're all been told, but we're winning the war. They were annihilated. They have no communication, no air defense, no Navy, no Air Force, no. But none of that is true. None of that is true. You don't have the leverage you think you have. You're going to have to accept the deal on their terms, not yours. This Alan Dershowitz plan of blockading a blockade, all you've managed to do is alienate your allies and look like a fool. It's not crippling the economy in Iran. They're fine.
Yeah. And actually, on that one other question, I've read that the Pakistanis have basically given the Iranians their Silent New Deal, I believe, a couple of days ago. And they gave the Iranians, and this may be linked to the meeting between Putin, Pakistan, and Iran, but they've basically given Iranians 6 different corridors to basically traverse goods, which have a third party, so meaning like China, Russia, and others. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's a very reasonable assumption that was connected to this meeting. I mean, that's very reasonable speculation. Yeah. That's why that's going through. Exactly. And of course, and you saw this too when they put sanctions on Russia and did all that for the Ukraine war. What they do? They just went right to China. Like, you pushed your enemies into each other's arms.
Yeah.
Bravo. BRICS is a thing now. That's just done. In Iran, yeah, they're seeking out other partners. And more people have realized.
Well, the I being Iran rather than India, but do continue.
Well, yeah, there's the IMEC too. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's with East Israel and Israel proper in India. But yeah, it's supposed to have Saudi Arabia, but I don't know if they're going to stay in that or not. It's
Well, Pepe was saying it's dead. He thinks it's dead now. But sorry, do continue.
Who said it's dead?
Pepe Escobar. I had him on yesterday. I think yesterday.
I told you this before. He's very good on pipeline politics and maritime Silk Road. So if that's what he's saying, then.
Well, you told me that. That's why I focused on in the last interview and really went into the depth of it.
Yeah, I mean, he and I used to talk about that. We were talking about the Nord Stream line and all back in 2014 and how there's no way they're going to allow them to have this. And they didn't. They blew it up. Um, yeah, I agree with Pepe on that. Like, I'm not sure they're going to stay. They've really the East Israel is so desperate. They're trying to up their oil production. I think that's why they left OPEC. They don't want to be restricted by any rules. We're like, because they need to sell more because their economy is done. Like Dubai is, I like the Japanese saying, good Dubai. Like it's out. It's not going to recover. No one's going to reinvest in this place. It's too volatile. And they burned through their crypto. They went liquid. They did everything they could, and it doesn't matter. Like the tourism's over, the oil sales are over, gas sales over, and even if the strait were to open tomorrow, some of the refineries and things have been physically destroyed. So they're, half a year out. They'll never be what they were, and they can thank their partners in Israel and the U.S. for doing this to them. But that's the team they picked. Their team Israel, he's part of this international Zionist, and wrong choice. The bully is getting beat up right now by Hezbollah. Not even the proper Lebanese military. They're sitting in the corner of the bedroom, if you know what I'm saying.
Hiding.
But that's where their chair is. But Hezbollah, man, the drones. Drones are the new IED. The IED was super effective in the Iraq War, second one. This is like the flying IED. And that's really what they've done. They put anti-tank personnel munitions on drones, and they just battering ram into tanks. It works, though. They should have seen this coming. They should have seen this in the war in the North. But apparently, incompetence, I don't know.
So I got quite a lot of questions for you on Lebanon because I think it's a very important point and it's one of your expertise and I want to get in deep with it. So guys, if you're on the X Space, I'm going to be ending the X Space. Everyone come across to YouTube, the tweets in the nest. I'm ending it in literally 10 seconds. So as soon as you hear this, it will end. Go to the tweet in the nest. Lebanon, Ryan.
I just ended the X stream. See, I just did a Trump, right? You said you're about to end something. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah.
You did it. You forced me into it.
There's a great clip of this kid. I think he might have Down syndrome. He might have had up, left, and right as well. He's at like a train station or something. The train doors open automatically, but he's like doing that, and then the train goes. He like puts his hand on it and moves it like he threw the train. That's Trump. That's it. Like I did that. All these things that were happening anyway. He tries to get in front of it.
That's hilarious, and that is Trump. So, I guess coming to Lebanon, right? What we're seeing, and I want more depth from you, is we're seeing a lot of devastation in Lebanon. We're seeing a lot of bombing. They're destroying things. They're exploding buildings. But then we're seeing a lot of, as you said, drone attacks hitting Israeli soldiers and various other things, not allowing them to move. So give us an overarching explanation on what's going on all these different elements and how that's impacting Lebanon and their attempt at basically colonizing it.
It's a weird thing. You have both sides are losing. Israel's winning the air war because they really don't have any manner of air defense in Lebanon. They were able to bomb Beirut, bomb southern Lebanon. And then they going in with their excavators and bulldozers and giving it the Gaza treatment. They didn't kill all these people. Most of them ran. Unlike Gaza, they have somewhere to go. But their homes, their property, the things they worked for their whole life, everything they own that they couldn't carry with them is being looted or buried, destroyed, or burned. And they're just paving over it because they don't want these people to return. Because the whole plan is to annex the land for Israel. There ought to be absolute international outrage that Israel can just invade their neighbor to the north, force millions of people out of their homes, and they're just going to steal the territory, a la Mustache Man style. That's the plan. But it's just stuff at the end of the day. Like, they can't hold this territory. You can destroy it. You can do millions and millions of dollars in damage and severely hurt innocent people. These are just civilians that live in Lebanon. They are attacking civilian infrastructure, town by town, and just destroying people to annex land because they have this eschatological view that God's a real estate agent and gave their Pacific race this land of greater Israel to them. But on the battlefield, they're not doing very well soldier to soldier. They're losing more than they're killing. They're getting their tanks blown up, their personnel are being shot, they're being hit by drones, they're being hit by rockets, they've been hit by missiles in some instances, and they're getting sniped in all manner. They're losing a lot of soldiers, and which is causing a lot of Israelis to flee. Now, the Israelis aren't fleeing because Hezbollah is invading Israel or anything like that. They're fleeing because they don't want to be in the army. They don't want. They didn't want to deal with all these missiles from Iran either. Occasionally, Israel proper gets hit by Hezbollah from artillery fire, from drone attacks, and so forth. They're leaving. They don't want to live in a war zone when they could go live in Miami or whatever. Most of these people aren't from there anyway. So you've seen it empty in and out on both sides. But in Lebanon, it's just the worst. They're just paving over homes that have been there for an extremely long time, historic towns and cedar trees, and they don't care. They're just like, we're gonna mow all this down because the plan is to settle it with their race and build racial colonies like they do in the West Bank. Like, they want to add territory to Israel. They've made this thing up called the yellow line.
Yeah.
The blue line is the actual demarcation line, the real border, and they just moved it way up. They want to go all the way up to the Litani River. And they won't stop there. Like, that's one phase, and then they'll go in and take the rest of it. They want to move these people out, and Hezbollah is resisting them and killing their soldiers, but they're also unable to do anything about the Air Force, and they're unable to prevent them from destroying things. So if they can't take it, they're just going to break it. And that's what Israel's doing. They are destroying town by town. But it's ended up like Stalingrad. Like, okay, you've moved the civilians out, you destroyed it, like Bakhmut maybe is a more modern example. But now in the rubble and the debris, you're getting picked off. Your staging areas are being harassed. They don't want to go out into the hills or the woods. Yeah, that's what Hezbollah will get them. They're vulnerable there, and they can get killed there, and they are. So, yeah, it's awful. But I want the world to know what the Israelis did. They didn't go meet in the battlefield. They went right after civilian areas, and they just started destroying people's homes. First, they go in and loot them. You can see the Israelis on the Israeli Telegram go into what was some Lebanese family's house, and they're in their kitchen, and like they're all in their soldier uniforms. They're going to eat dinner. They're going to eat their food, sit at their table, rummage through their clothes, take their personal belongings and things, parade them around for the camera, and eventually they just demolish the whole house. This is their attitude. This is what they've done in the West Bank. This is what they did in Gaza. Like, it's absolute Yahweh-style Bronze Age conquest, kill your enemies, steal all their stuff. I mean, they're shooting their pets if there's any dogs, cats, or anything around. Their livestock, they're killing them, laughing about it. Of course, they destroyed the statue of Jesus with a hammer. They don't care. They'll burn the churches. They'll burn the mosque. It doesn't matter to them. And why? What for? Because they want the territory. They think it's theirs. They're a bunch of religious fanatics that think this is supposed to be their land, that they were there thousands of years ago, and that God gave it to them. And of course, none of that is true, but that's what they think. The Lebanese have been living there with continuity for many generations, and they've been forced out. And not everyone can just up and leave. You can't just go buy another house, right? So they're in desperate situations in northern Lebanon, or they've left the country completely, trying to make ends meet. These are whole families, children, everything, they're forced to leave.
Yeah.
Where is the international outrage on this? This is very different from the U.S. and Iran hitting each other's bases and things, although the U.S. has been hitting civilian infrastructure too, hospitals and schools. But this is so different. I mean, they are just going after apartment complexes. They're going after homes. They're going after private property of normal people who've never lifted a gun, not part of any militant organization. And this is why Hezbollah exists. Hezbollah didn't exist until the mid-'80s because of Israel routinely invading Lebanon. That's why they were created, because Israel was already invading Lebanon. Now, they like to flip it around and act like they're reacting to Hezbollah. No, Hezbollah was a reaction to you. So was Hamas. There was no Hamas until the 80s either. For the first 35, 36 years of occupation, what was the excuse? They just want the land. That's what it is. And it's like this Old Testament rhetoric where like killing Amalek and stuff. And you have the prime ministers and president quoting scripture from the book of Samuel and things. Like it's really that insane. And Israel wasn't always like that. Its founders were like that, but a lot of Israelis were secular. Now it's like 70%. They're just like militantly, kill them all. Let Satan sort them out.
So I guess just going to the specifics of it, how would they, if Hezbollah's keeping control over the entry of Israel, how have they on the ground been able to get into these civilian areas, go into these civilian buildings, and then demolish them? So how have they been able to do that? Is
Well,
that because strategically
okay.
Hezbollah's not been defending those areas?
Well, I'll tell you this now because it doesn't matter. I can tell what the plan was. They knew Israel was coming, and the plan was to suck them in deep and envelop. And they knew we're going to lose towns. We know that the Israelis are going to bomb civilians. We know what their air force is going to do. They'll go and hit Beirut too. They're going to do this. They're going to try and destroy the economy in Lebanon at the same time as they're physically destroying civilian homes. But they wanted their army. They wanted their staging areas deep in Lebanon where they know the territory. The Israelis don't. Where they have planned ambushes, and they're like these towns. They can't face the Israeli army in fixed battles in the open battlefield like that. They're way outnumbered, outgunned, out everything. So it has to be kind of guerrilla warfare, and they needed to suck them in. And when they go and they demolish these towns and they set up their staging area there, they know where they are. They can see where they are very easily, and they bunch up. And this is where the goal is to kill as much of their personnel and destroy as much equipment as possible to inflict damage on them. And they're very casualty adverse. And they're lying. They go, oh, yeah, how many thousands injured, but only 25 dead or something, like 28 or whatever it is at now. Is a lot more than that. You can see it. It's on film and drones hitting packs of people. But that was the strategy because they're like, we can try and hold them at the border for a long time. But if we do that, they'll envelop us. So they sucked them in because, Israel can come through Syria now because of the terrorist ally they have in Jelani. So, they're stretched thin. They have to guard that too. It's not just the southern border. Their eastern border is vulnerable because Israel's allowed to traverse through Syria unmolested. So, but there are now Hezbollah in Syria that will harass them. But that was the strategy. Is like it sucks, but it's like look, kind of like Russians in World War II. Like let the Germans got to come in deep, scorched earth, and then we'll trap them. Their idea is to get them through. So they have to send in medevacs. They have to send in helicopters. They have to send in one tank to rescue another tank and stretch their lines and stretch their supply and get them in unfamiliar territory. You can take the lights out. They're not bringing all that air defense and stuff in with them. And so that was just a very cold, calculated decision. It's like, look, we're going to have to sacrifice some towns. There wasn't a real way to defend them. You could maybe a few days. That'd be about it. But guerrilla warfare maximizes damage to Israel with the least amount of damage to the actual militant wing of Hezbollah. Houses can be rebuilt. The people got out. You lose some stuff. It sucks. But as long as they can't maintain that territory, and they can't, then we can rebuild all of that. If you lose a person, that's gone. But you lose a home, it's hard. But it's replaceable. Whereas the Israeli personnel that are getting killed, they're gone forever. Their family has lost a son, a daughter. That's that. So they're willing to trade property for life.
So, from the perspective of what we are seeing them because they're going in deep. They are able to kill a lot of people now, albeit a lot of it's from the air, but there are a decent proportion that is happening on the ground as well from Israel's perspective. What's your kind of perspective on that? And obviously we know the Israelis are having a huge amount of loss of life as well, but how do you balance it?
Yeah, I mean, some people didn't have the means to leave, and some of them, like usually people with kids and things left. But There's some like, look, I've lived here. I'm going to die here. They don't want to leave. They're willing to fight the Israelis, or they've got nowhere to go. They just don't have the money to just pack up and go somewhere else. And unfortunately, the Israelis don't care. Like if you're there, they'll kill you. There is no distinction between civilian and military. You're not Jewish, they'll kill you. Like that's their. It's a racist state. And just like if you're there in your house in your country, well, you're their target because they think that land belongs to them. And it's sad. And there are. You're right. It's especially further up from the bombing campaigns, like way across the yellow line. They just bomb whatever they feel like, and they just say, "Oh yeah, we had intel. There was a militant hiding here, so we took out the whole block." And then you look at them relishing it, man. They're laughing. They put it on Telegram and TikTok of the things they're stealing, the people they're killing. They just ran over a man with a car and filmed it in Gaza. Just he was dead in the road. They tried to make his pants go down by the car tire, and they did. Ha ha ha! Filming his naked butt and his guts coming out of his face and stuff. It's just they're monsters. It's not only like when people kill somebody, it's usually in a stoic like, oh well, they were shooting at me, I shot at them. These people aren't shooting at you. They just kill people and they love it. They're like, that's a one less Arab. Like they really get off on it. The more they can humiliate people, the more innocent people, the better. The younger, the better. It's like if you can kill some babies or kids, you're destroying their future. They see things in terms of like racial states. So they're like, well, that's, that prevents more of them from being born. That's the kind of sick way they think.
So Ryan, from the Hezbollah perspective, you explained how they're able to hit Israel in a wide range of ways.
Hmm.
I did hear reports that about 1,000 Israeli soldiers had died. I don't know if you think that's accurate or legitimate. But also, what is in terms of Hezbollah's perspective? And I have got another question about the Israeli tactics, but I'll come in the section. From the Hezbollah perspective, how are they basically dealing with the situation? Are they having a lot of loss of life as well? Because it seems like Hezbollah has given us the accurate figures, and even they're saying a decent number of Hezbollah soldiers are falling.
They're losing soldiers too, of course. 1,000 Israelis dead. Anytime you hear a nice, perfectly round number, you should put
Over
a
a
question
thousand, I
mark.
had, yeah.
It's possible. I mean, they've definitely had tens of thousands injured. I'd like to know, like, what counts as an injury, because a lot of these people don't want to go to the front line and don't want to fight. Some of them are injuring themselves, in a controlled way. You know, oh, I can't.
That does
No,
not sound
really.
like them. That does not sound like them.
Yes, it does. They're scared. They're conscripted. Sorry. I'm allergic to Lindsey Graham.
I thought you're allergic to Israelis being scared.
No, that's they're always scared. They're neurotic. They're scared of their own shadow. But yeah, I can get it. Like, not everyone's a soldier, obviously, and they're conscripted, and they don't want to be there. And one way out is to hurt yourself. So they do it because they're afraid of dying. But a lot of them are obviously legitimately injured by Hezbollah. When those tanks get hit, it's not always a kill. But concussed, ear damage forever. They're doing, these soldiers, they have body armor. They're sometimes in armor, so it's not always a kill shot. So I believe there's going to be far more injuries than there are killed, but not at a ratio of tens of thousands to dozens. Like, that doesn't make sense. Not that many of them are hurting themselves, just to get out of service. Or are they? I don't think so. I think they're covering up their losses for sure. We don't know how many Israelis have died, but we know when they're calling up their reservists and trying to pull Israelis back out of Cyprus and put them in the army, that they are desperate for personnel, which means something's going wrong. I mean, I thought you had enough forces. So how many of them have really died in those woods? They're not saying.
Yeah, yeah. Now, another question I got for you, Ryan, is when I read a report from a few actually from the 2006 failed attempt by Israel to invade Lebanon. And the US military, one of the claims they made was, I think very accurately, is the Israelis continuously made the same mistake, which was they would bomb from the air, but by bombing from the air to make in their mind, to make things easier or to destroy as much, they'd create a lot of rubble. And because they'd create a lot of rubble, what will happen is a lot of the tankers would get stuck and it'd be very difficult for them to actually traverse the area. And then the opponents, Hezbollah, would basically easily just take out all the tanks. Now, I saw them deploy the exact same method in 2024 against Lebanon and get destroyed. Saw them in Gaza, and that's why many of their resistance got hit. And they're doing it again, it seems like. Or are they? Give us your thoughts.
I think tank warfare is obsolete in this scenario. And you've seen this in Ukraine too. That's not how you're supposed to use armor. And it has to be accompanied with infantry and minesweepers and many other things. You can't just like send in a tank column by itself, but they keep doing it. And that's like it's like an elephant in a pit. You know, elephant was a great weapon of war at one point, but it doesn't do well in a pit. And that's like a tank in a city or surrounded by rubble. Like you take out its mobility, and then it's just a big heavy coffin, really. Got a lot of firepower, but it's like trying to fight a swarm of bees and you choose a hammer for a weapon. Like you might smack the hell out of one bee, but you're going to get lit up by all the rest of them. That's not the right kind of tool you need for this. When you're fighting drones, your tank's not going to shoot a drone, but a drone can hit a tank. It's kind of the scissor, paper, rock, Junkin, as we say. And they're just using the wrong thing, but the infantry are scared to move without them. If they're not all armored up, they're not going to walk across Lebanon. And so you're going to have jeeps or tanks or something, and all of those are vulnerable. And they're not doing what they ought to do to shield them. Now, apparently, they're starting to put these roll cages up, these big bird cages and stuff, plexiglass and steel, like you saw in Ukraine and Russia early on, but there are ways around those too. So they are outfitting some of their tanks with that because they've lost so many. But that also means, at minimal, you're having the tank personnel injured, if not outright killed, when these tanks get destroyed. But there's levels of destruction on a tank, like whether it's been just immobilized, whether it's fixable, or whether it's completely destroyed, or it's a broken engine, which is somewhere in between. Like you're gonna have to tow that back to Israel to fix that. But anyway, it's out of commission. So you see these tank crews must be getting it. And some of them are driving around with the lid open. I saw a video the other day where two of them had the lid open. I guess it's really hot now. And so they did that and they got hit with a drone. You morons. But you saw them in Gaza. If Hamas had proper weapons, they would have lit them up. Because they would be filming the tanks. You see all those red triangle videos. But all they had was like an RPG-7 or a Yasin 105 or something. Like, yeah, you better hit it in the perfect spot or it's not going to do much. It really sucked. But if they had proper cornets or something, they would have ruined those. Now, Hezbollah does have some cornets. But you got to get closer to use that, but they're more effective. The drone, though, that's the best ROI. Like, the best return on investment is you don't really lose anything, and they're either dead or injured or at least immobilized. So all day. Drones all day. And it's a slow way to resist, but there's nothing they can do about it. The jammers don't work when they put these fiber optics on them. It's really funny because the microwire technology that's being used was developed in the United States by a private company in New Jersey who had its R&D stolen by the Israelis. Here's a guy, John Hanasio. He's a lawyer for them. I've interviewed him a few times. Get him on. He'll give you an earful of how the Israelis just partner up with universities and steal R&D and tech and trade secrets from private companies. They do it all the time. This is one of the things Epstein was doing in his large donations to MIT and stuff, was like, hey, let us see this research. And microwire. It's if anyone goes to ANC report and types that in, you can listen to those interviews. It's just another one of these little sleazy things that this parasite nation does, but that tech is now being used against them
Mm.
in Lebanon, which is hilarious.
Yeah, right. One other question I got for you, kind of a bit different to Lebanon, is we're seeing this war, this blockade happening, crisis in the world, financial crisis in the world. You mentioned that Iran is not as impacted as much as America's allies. Um, but Trump personally is probably financially benefiting a lot. Today he made an
Mm.
announcement. Oil prices went up. He's probably made another 100 million or whatever it is today. So he probably does. Like, does he even care? Like, maybe he doesn't care about the American empire dying. Maybe he doesn't care about all these things, and he just cares about enriching himself. And it doesn't matter about everything weakening. And as long as he's following through with the Israelis, because they could steal his
Yeah,
wealth
you mean
later.
Trump with honest brokers like Lutnick around? Yeah, like they're not going to play yo-yo with the market. Of course, they're playing yo-yo with the market by issuing this statement or that, and it's always deception. And these fools invest accordingly. Like if he says, the strait's about to be open, we're near a deal, da 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 da, and then oh no, we're going to bomb you to the Stone Age, and then it's just. But he bets accordingly. There's a great meme. I think Daniel McAdams posted it. It was somebody coming out of a door, but through the door you can see a big table and a bunch of people on their phones. They're like, have you made the Truth Social post yet? And it's like, wow, we're waiting to get all our trades in first. Like
But
they're
true.
absolutely doing that. His kids are doing that. But that's nothing new. They're just sloppy. Obama, Biden, they all did this stuff. But this one's really quick turnabouts. Open, close, open, close. It's clopin. The straight is clopin. Well, yeah, he makes these threats, and the market bounces around, and all these speculators are doing it. And it just shows you like what the priority of the empire is. It's always been personal profit. He doesn't care about the national interests of the United States. He doesn't care about our international credibility, alienating our allies. He's talking trash on NATO as well, talking about going into Greenland. Don't forget. This is the Epstein class. They're all about making money and spending it on prostitutes. Like that's their life. And you don't matter to them. He doesn't care about America. Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. And America can burn if he's almost 80, but it doesn't matter. The greed has no bounds. Whatever many years he has left, he wants it on him. He's destroyed his legacy. Doesn't matter. He's destroying the Republican Party. He's wiped them out in the midterms. Doesn't matter. Because he personally benefits. And he's Adelson's bitch. That's all it is. Like, he took that 250 mil, and he let them pick his cabinet. And, of course, now we're in the mess we're in. And it hurts the United States, and it does hurt their allies, and it hurts the Gulf especially. Those were allies, It hurts the whole concept of leaving bases places. I think Okinawa is probably looking at this going, do we really want them here? Doesn't this make us more of a target, not less? You're starting to see that. You're also seeing people looking around going, maybe we do need a nuclear bomb. Because you don't have one, look what happens. This is all from the policy of America following Israel on Iran.
No doubt.
And no doubt that that's what it is. Don't act like it's about uranium. They've been plotting this for decades, like Iran's last, because they needed to take out Iraq and Syria and Libya first.
Well,
They're
Hegseth
trying to get
admitted it
Iran and
today.
Lebanon at once.
He admitted
Yeah,
it
he
today.
did.
He did admit they didn't even have the nuclear bomb. He's like, oh, they were slow moving towards enriched uranium. It's
There
like,
was
come
a
on.
plan for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you guys, just say it. Just say Israel told us to do it. Hegseth is one of these end timer Christians. He's
Yeah.
one of these. He's got tattoos all over his body.
He talked about the third temple.
They're comparing Trump to Christ. They're laying hands on him. They've got this stupid ballroom, and it's got all these like biblical designs on it and stuff. It's not Baal, and Baal is not what you guys keep saying. You keep confusing Baal and Moloch. Baal was a storm god from Samaria that was a rival to Yahweh. He actually ended up. Yahweh is Baal. Like, he just took over his stories and credited him to himself instead of Baal. But the original rain god was Baal. You had Yarm and Mot and Baal, and they had the cycle of the sea and the rain and da da da. It has nothing to do with the devil or anything like that. Moloch, on the other hand, who Solomon built a temple to, is the one that took child sacrifices. Like, that's your demon guy. Baphomet's another one. But I see all the iconography and stuff all mixed together and confused. And these idiots have never read a religious text in their life. I'm like, it's fine, but then don't pretend like you know something you don't. The Baal meme thing is just. I get it. I know what you mean. You're like, yeah, they worship the devil or something. Like, yeah, but like at least get your names correct.
Yeah, yeah. I get what you're saying, Ryan, there. And we'll probably talk about that some other time. But Ryan, thank you so much for taking your time to join us. I appreciate it as always, as we always give great insight and depth as well. Everyone should be following Ryan Dawson's Substack, which is on Substack.
RyanDawson.org.
RyanDawson.org. Thank you for that. Yeah. And just join it.
I was really going to stick on this with Gaza. Like, let's hope Egypt and Japan can work this out. And these people have been suffering for so long. They need food, they need water, and they need reconstruction. They're living in fucking tents right now. So let's put more attention on that if we can.
No doubt.
And last thing, Dan Bilzerian for 6th District of Florida, 109%. I'm supporting that.
100%. I support him as well. All the way. I want Dan to win against anyone, never mind someone like Randy Fine. But much love to you, Ryan. Appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely get you back on. Always appreciate updates. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you too, man. Keep doing what you're doing.
Appreciate you.
I hope you like my name today.
Yeah. Someone mentioned in the comments. I didn't even notice it until someone mentioned it. I'll be honest with you. But let's hope it doesn't deboost YouTube. But anyway, appreciate you.
Oh, this is on YouTube. Well, you got a Substack, man. Next time we do a show, simulcast there.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my team to set it up tomorrow for Substack. I'm gonna test it first, and then we'll do a big one on Saturday maybe.
All right, hit me up if you have any problems.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much, Ryan. That is Ryan Dawson, guys. Make sure you're following him. Make sure you're being subscribed to him. Make sure you go to his Substack. Guys, on this video, make sure you like this video. I'm seeing not enough likes. Your boy's putting the effort in. I need the likes from you guys. Make sure you're liking this video. Make sure you comment on this video. Make sure you hype it. There's a hype button, and immediately after it ends, you can hype it. So make sure you hype the video. So like, comment, hype, and subscribe, and have your notifications on. We've got a lot of people in here. I want every single one of you to have your notifications on this channel. We've got 3 interviews tomorrow, 3 big interviews tomorrow. And you saw the Ryan one. We can randomly organize an interview before we even schedule it. And so you need to be subscribing to the channel. You need to be liking this video. You need to be subscribing to this channel. I need to comment on it. I need some more young people as well. I was looking at the stats. And I love my boomers. I love them a lot. We've got a lot of boomers on the channel. Let's get some young bloods. Let's get some Gen X. I don't know about the millennials, but everybody else, we want them on. Like, comment, and subscribe. Tomorrow we'll be back with an interview. The space will be at 1:30. The first interview will be at 2 p.m. It's with an Iranian journalist. I forgot his name. Hamid, I think his name is Hamid. Iranian journalist. We've got Chris Masterson on. And then we got Fawad Izadi on. So watch out for that tomorrow. Lots of interviews. Let your friends and family know about it. This is the channel to be. This is going to be pushed every single day. Much love. Like. Subscribe. Notifications on. Notifications on. All notifications. Are you done that? Have you done that? Have you got notifications on? All notifications on? Hope you do. Much love to each and every single one of you. We will see you next time. Appreciate you guys joining in. Appreciate you guys listening. And for sure, we'll see you next time.